Hi everyone, my name is Audrey and welcome to my channel. Today I'm bringing you a tier ranking video for every book I read in 2021. So I decided to do a tier ranking video. This is the first time I'm going to try this. I decided to give it a try. I also did not include any top 3, top 5 books of the year in my end of the year review video. And honestly, I could not answer you right now because I don't know what are my top 5 books. So by doing the tier ranking, I hope I can find the answer to that. I do know what my worst books were from last year, but the best, I don't know yet. So let's just discover this together. I do want to put out a disclaimer though. This is based on my personal opinions and enjoyment of the books. And I can totally understand that not all books are for everyone, which I totally respect as well. There's also a lot of noises in the background. There's a snowstorm right now. There's a lot of wind. My son is quite loud, so I'll try to edit out as much noises as possible. But I usually film my sit-down videos during the evening when the house is quiet. But we'll just roll with it right now. This is a weird angle, but it's the best I could do because if I put the camera on here, the background is kind of weird. So I'm just gonna leave it there and hope that everything works out. I am going to record my screen though. All right, so I have made a lot of tiers. Sorry, I had to pause a bit because the snowplow was just so loud outside of the window, but I think it's gone now, so we're good. So I decided to do a tiers because I don't know. That's how precise I want it to be. So we have God tier, which is the top of the top, absolute best. Amazing tier, which is a really great tier as well. Just not quite the top, but still up there. Then we have great tier, good tier, average, not for me tier. I put that there because there's some books that I can actually appreciate what it's doing, but not enjoying it. And I can acknowledge that it's just not for me. So I thought I would put a category in that. A did not like it tier and I hate it tier. I already know what I'm going to put in there. There's not many, but there are a few. So yeah, those are my tiers. Let's get started. So the first book is A Dead Gin in Cairo, and this is So the first book I'm going to do is A Dead Gin in Cairo. This is from P. J. Clark. It's kind of the first book of the series. It's a prequel that's around 40-ish pages. And I really appreciated what it did in so few pages. It did a lot. And I fell in love with this author. He is now a autobi author for me. So this is definitely going to go in the God tier. Then I have Master of Gin, which is the actual first novel. But before that, we have this one, which is The Haunting of Tramcar 015, which is the second prequel kind of to the series. And this one I'm going to put in amazing tier because it was really, really good. It was a little bit longer than the Jin and Carol. I think it was around 100-ish pages. And I didn't like it as much as I liked the Jin and Carol. It does follow some other characters that are in A Master of Jin, but I was really disappointed that it didn't follow the main character from the Jin and Carol, but I understand what the author was trying to do with it. So it's an amazing book, but not just as amazing as a Jin and Carol. A Master of Jin. For A Master of Jin, I'm also going to put it in amazing tier. It was an amazing book, but I do feel like it dragged a little bit and some twists were predictable. So amazing it is. I think I'm going to put it just before The Haunting of Trump Card 015. Yeah. The next one is All Systems Red by Martha Wells. This is a series of novellas and that follow an AI hired by humans. And I really loved it, but it wasn't that amazing. I did have a hard time to get into the world and be that much invested in it. I do think as much as an amazing book would be, but I do appreciate what the book is doing. So for now, I'll put it in great tier. Yeah. Next, we have Bad Feminist by Roxane Gay. This is a nonfiction about feminism, obviously. I listened to it on audio and I loved this book so much. I think I'm going to put it in amazing tier. It was really, really good. The audiobook was amazing. I don't remember who the narrator was, but I really loved it as an audiobook. So highly recommend if you're interested. Okay. Then we have Beneath the Sugar Sky by Shannon McGuire. I love this series so much, and this is the third book of the series, and I really, really enjoyed. I know it's not most people's favorite, but I really loved it, and yeah, I think I'm gonna put it in great tier, but before All Systems Red. Then we have Crooked Kingdom, but before doing Crooked Kingdom, I think I'm gonna go with Six of Crows and do them together. So Six of Crows is, in my opinion, God tier. I love this book so much. The characters, the plot, it was just amazing. And I would put Crooked Kingdom either in amazing or in... Here's the thing. Six of Crows has a very structured plotline. Like, you have the setup, you have the mission, they go for the mission, they get ready for the mission, like they do the mission, and then you have the conclusion of their mission. And it's a very predictable structure. But in Crooked Kingdom, you don't have that structure. So sometimes you can easily fall into a plot that's dragging a bit. But at the same time, you have really unexpected things that can happen. So did I enjoy it as much as I enjoyed Six of Crows? I don't know. I think I'm going to put it here for now. Yeah. Next, we have Dear Girls by Ali Wong. So this is another audiobook that I read. in the car actually, and Ali Wong is the narrator of her own book, and it was so fun. It's the first audiobook I've ever read, and it's just so fun to listen to. I strongly recommend. It talks about her life, her past, and how she's been coping being a POC and a woman in the comedy field, which was really, really interesting. And she basically talks to her girls, and listening to this, you really feel like you're watching one of her shows. So it was really fun. I think I'm going to put it here. Yeah. I did feel like some of the chapters dragged on a bit. Yeah, I think I'm gonna put it here. Beneath the Sugar Sky and All Systems Red. Yeah. It was a really fun read. Then we have Death Note, which I love so much. I did give this one a rating of 4 stars. But I think I'm going to put it here. Oops. Yeah, I'm really attached to these characters, and this is the first volume, and I really love the first episodes. In the TV show, there's a point where it kind of shifts, and I don't like it as much. I don't think that part was necessary to the story, but the first part is just amazing. So I'm gonna put it in the amazing tier. Next we have Downworld, which was an arc I got on NetGalley, and it was a Wattpad book. I don't remember the rating I gave it, but it kind of read like a Wattpad book at sometimes, but it wasn't throughout all of my reading experience. So I don't know. I think I'm gonna put it in an average tier. It didn't do that much for me. It's not that memorable, but it was still a good book. So yeah, average tier it is. 8 Perfect Hours. So this one is going to go in the I hated it tier. I hated this book. You can check out for my vlogs. I know I'm late on editing all of my vlogs, but it's coming, don't worry. And in the vlog in which I read this book, I do rant about it quite a bit. I really hated it. It was a very difficult read to get through. I just did not like it at all. Then we have Eliza and Her Monsters, which is a YA book, and I really loved this book because it has different medias in it, and the way that the story was built, I thought it was really well done. And I do feel like it has good mental health rep in it. So I'm going to put it in amazing tier. I think I'm going to put it here. Yeah. Then we have Fire with Fire by Destiny Soria. This is one of my favorite books, and I'm going to put it in good tier. It was good. It was not that memorable, but it wasn't a bad book. Some things annoyed me. One character annoyed me. But I think it was just not the targeted audience for it. But I liked the idea and the concept of the book. So it's a good book, just not the best. Game of Thrones, the first book, is so good. I don't think it deserved to be in God tier, but it's just so good. It's hard to compare all of these books together because they're just so different. Yeah, let's see here in amazing tier. Then we have A Girl in the Blue Coat by Monica Hesse. This was a good book. Yeah. Now, I think I'm going to put it in a great tier. I think it's a well-written book, and there wasn't that much that bothered me in the writing, in the plot, and the characters. Like, I think it was a really good book, and I was actually really surprised with the twist. So, yeah, I think it deserves to go in the great tier for what the book did. I just didn't enjoy it as much as I thought I would. I kind of find that I'm not that interested in World War II books, so I don't know. Home for Dark. I did not like this. I thought it was redundant, I thought it was boring, and I was not scared at all. I did not like it. Yeah, I don't think I hated it, because I can understand why people love it, but I just really didn't like how redundant it was, because it does have some chapters in today, era, life, whatever, and some other chapters are from the book that the main character's father wrote, and what happens in the book also happens in real life, and it's so redundant. I feel like I'm the only person who has that critique, because most of the reviews I saw about this book never talks about how redundant and repetitive this book gets. So maybe it's just me, but yeah, that really annoyed me. Then we have Hood Feminism, which is just amazing. I don't know if I preferred Hood Feminism to Bad Feminist. I think I preferred Bad Feminist because it was more personal and it was about her own life and her own experiences. But I strongly recommend Hood Feminism because it did bring me some other view on the subject that I didn't see otherwise. So really, really grateful I got to read this book. This was also an audiobook that I also recommend. Next, we have Horror Store by Grady Hendrix. This I loved so much. I want to put it here. So on the top of the amazing tier, just because... No, I'm changing my mind. I'm going to put it in God tier. I know a lot of people do critique the fact that characters are not relatable and because of the ending, but I think that having unrelatable characters is just perfect because you can actually believe that they would die anytime during the book, which really enhances the scary part, for me at least. And I really loved the Stranger Things type of vibe in this book, and I was not bothered by the ending at all. I actually love these type of endings, so yeah, God tier. And I know a lot of people will not agree with me on that, but I love this book. Ma vie de gâteau sec is a book written by one of my friends from university, and it's a middle grade book on a young girl who is dealing with anxiety disorder. And I think I'm gonna put it here. Like, I enjoyed the book for what it is. I think it's an amazing book, and I love everything that she does because I think she's one of the most creative and brilliant artists I know. It's not usually my type of book, but I can really appreciate what she did for young teens. I know that a lot of my students really love her books. Next, we have Muse of Nightmares, but I'm gonna do Strange the Dreamer first. So Strange the Dreamer is God tier, and I know not everyone will agree with that, but I know it has its flaws. I know that the writing is not for everyone, but I saw myself in Laszlo. I saw my teenage self in Laszlo Strange, and I just connected with it so deeply. I cannot put it anywhere else than in God tier. For Muse of Nightmares, I'm going to put it in amazing tier because I don't feel like, yeah, I think I'm going to put it here because it did feel like the story dragged, especially in the first half of Muse of Nightmares. I loved the turn it took towards the second half of the book, and from there on, it really picked up, and I really loved where it was going. But I had a hard time with the first half of the book because I felt like it was just waiting for something to happen. But it's still an amazing read. So yeah, amazing tier for the second book. Then we have Night of the Mannequins, which I'm going to put in great tier. I love this book. It's kind of weird and strange and kind of unbelievable, so that's why I'm putting it in the great tier, but it was a really fun experience. Then we have Our Dark Duet, and before doing this one, I'll do this Savage Song. It's from Victoria Schwab, and this duology I did not like it at all. I think I hated it more than before. No, yeah, like this. Same for Our Dark Duet. The not like other girls tropes, I really, really hated. I did not connect with the characters. I did not understand the world, how it worked. I felt like it was underdeveloped, and some of the things in there were really cliche, which I couldn't vibe with. So it wasn't as bad as Our Dark Duet. So I think I'm going to put Our Dark Duet first. But still, I did not like those books. Paris 2119. This is a graphic novel I got on NetGalley, and I really loved this book. I think, yeah, here. It's a dystopian type of book with IAs and clones. It was really short. I loved the illustrations and I enjoyed the plot, but I feel like it could have been 100 pages more, but that's just me. Yeah, I do recommend though, if you're interested in graphic novels. Then we have Six Crimson Cranes by Elizabeth Lim. I think I'm gonna put it here. I love retellings. I loved like the cultural aspect, but I just wasn't as invested in this book as I can get invested in other books. So yeah, I think I'm gonna put it in great tier. Next, we have Sorrowland, and this book is, yeah, God tier. This book is so amazing. River Solomon is just a genius. I love their writing and their comments on the world and how they include all type of minorities. Love it. It's brilliant. I highly, highly recommend. I do think it's maybe not the writing style for everyone, but please try it. They're amazing. God tier. Then we have 7.5 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle by Stuart Turton, and this book is also God tier. I want to say here. Yep. I loved Black Mirror because it has a lot of social commentary, and the way that the episodes were written really hit hard, and you feel just weird at first, not sure you're understanding what's happening, and then you just don't expect it to hit it that hard, and it's just so brutal without being like gore, or it's just really dark, and I love the way that it's handled. And this book gave me a lot of Black Mirror vibes, like a lot, and it had me on the edge of my seat throughout the whole reading experience, and I did not see the twists coming. Well, I kind of did, but didn't. I think it was brilliantly written because you do need to get everything. Because to be able to pull off this type of story, you really need everything to be perfect, storyline wise, and this was just it. I really recommend it. Then we have The Bones of Ruin, which I'm putting in good tier. It's a good book. I don't think it's a bad book. I think it's good. It's just that I didn't vibe as much with it as I wanted to, and I felt like some of the characters kind of undermined what the author was trying to do. It was building up some tension for like this big competition, magical competition, and at the same time saying that it was unimportant in the grand scheme of things. And it kind of took me out of the story, and I was not invested in what was going to happen and the plot. So yeah, it's not bad, but that kind of ranked it lower for me because of that. Then we have Dragon Republic, and I'm going to put The Poppy War first, by R.F. Kuang. And this is a fantasy based off of Chinese history, and I love this book so much. So much. I am putting this in... God tier for sure. For sure. And Dragon Republic as well. Did I prefer... No, I think I preferred The Poppy War first. I am going to read The Burning God in 2022, so I'm really excited about it. But this is just perfection. Then we have The Elizas, and this is the worst book I've ever read. So yeah, it's down the worst. I have a whole rant video about it on my channel, so this is so problematic on so many levels, so do not recommend. Then we have The House in the Cerulean Sea by T.J. Klune, and I love this book so much. I'm putting it in God tier. I think, yeah. It really made me emotional and made me feel so much emotions that I don't often feel when I read books. So that's mainly why it's in God tier instead of Amazing tier. Then we have The Last Magician, which I think is great tier. It's not as amazing as I wanted it to be. I feel like there were a little bit too many twists throughout the end, especially the last 100 pages. And it did drag on for a while in the middle there. So yeah, great tier. I still recommend it though. And I do want to read the next book in the series. The Lost Apothecary, I did not like this book at all, but I don't think that it's as bad as Home Before Dark. I think it was better than Downworld. So yeah, I'm gonna put it there, but I just didn't like the one of the POVs, because there were two POVs, one from the past and one in present day. And the present day POV, I just hated it. I thought it was boring and predictable, and I did not care for the main character. And I didn't understand what was the point of having that POV. It really just felt pointless. I would have enjoyed it more if we only had like the past POV. That makes sense. So it was okay, but not the best. Then we have the next Jim Crow, the new Jim Crow, by Michelle Alexander. And this book, it was so hard to read. I don't know how to rate this. I think I didn't rate it on Goodreads because I honestly don't know how to rate this. I think it's a necessary read for everyone. I think everyone should read this book. It's tough to read, and I read it on audio, so I needed sometimes to pause the audiobook and get back to it a little later because it was just too much for me to handle. And I've learned so much with this book. I'm not an American, so there's a lot of things that happens in the United States that I'm not aware of or I don't understand because I don't live there. And I'm really happy that I got to know more about it and to understand it more. And I'm always wanting to understand more, especially about this. But I don't think I would put it in God tier because I don't necessarily want to reread the book unless I'm looking for information. But I wouldn't reread it for pleasure because it was not a pleasure read. So yeah, I think like I'm most likely to reread Bad Feminist than to reread the new Jim Crow, if that makes sense. I'm gonna leave it in amazing tier because of all the research the author did to do this. It's amazing. It really is. But since it's not something I am willing to reread, I'm not going to put it in God tier, if that makes sense. Then we have The Night Cyclist, which is a very, very short story from Stephen Graham Jones. And I loved this book so much. I loved it better than The Night of the Mannequins. I think I put it here. Oops. Yeah, I thought it was really well written, and it's such a short story. I think he does a really good job setting the vibes and the creepiness in so few pages, which I really love in his writing. Then we have The Night Tiger by Yangtze Chu, which is an amazing read. I'm going to put it in amazing tier here. Yeah, I think I'm going to put it here because there are some things that I didn't understand at the end that I felt was underdeveloped or not explained as much as I wanted to. So yeah, I'm gonna put it just after A Master of Jin. Then we have The Vines, which was an arc from NetGalley. This was average. Yeah, I didn't like it as much as I liked Downworld. Same thing, two POVs. I preferred the POV from the past time instead of the present time. The things that happened in the present time were kind of strange, not plausible. I don't know. I didn't connect to the characters either. Then we have This Is How You Lose the Time War, and this I did not understand at all. This is not a book for me. It's a very poetic book, and I'm not the most poetic person. Surprisingly, I'm very artistic, so it's the type of book you'd think I would enjoy, but I just couldn't understand it, and it kind of annoyed me. It was too poetic for me to understand. So yeah, I find it hard to say that it was a bad book, because I don't think it was a bad book. I don't think it was badly written, but I just didn't get it. And I didn't understand the point of the book. And I know that a lot of people really loved it. So it's probably just not the book for me. So I'm going to leave it there. Then we have Tiny Pretty Things by Daniel Clayton and Sana Sharapoitra. I'm gonna go with average tier because, I think there's good rep in there that it really represents the ballet world well, but I just don't like teen drama. So yeah, I might put it in not for me. I just felt like it was boring and I didn't vibe with it. I am curious to see the show though. Maybe I'll enjoy the show better. Then we have Under the Whispering Door by TJ Klune, which I got the ARC from NetGalley, and I loved this book so much. I really, really did. Did I like it better than The House in the Syrian Sea? Good question. I think I'm gonna put it here because it's the first book that ever made me cry, ever in my life. I've only cried once from a book, and that was the book that made me cry. I usually am a crybaby when it comes to TV shows and movies, but books I rarely cry. But this one really made me cry, so I'm gonna put it in God tier there. Then the last one is With the Fire on High by Elizabeth Acevedo, and this was a really good book. It's just that it was, Wow. I'm gonna put it here. Yeah. It was a great book because I felt it talked about topics that are taboo and the way that it dealt with it, and I think it had a really positive message, which I really enjoy when books do that. It could have been a very dark book, but it wasn't, and I really appreciated that. I loved the cultural aspect of this book. I thought it was amazing. I love being immersed in other cultures, and that really did it for me. But at the same time, I don't think it was amazing because it was just like normal life type of books, which is not really my favorite. So yeah, for that reason, I'm putting it in great tier. So let's check if I think there's any changes I should do. I think this one should go here. Yeah, I think that's it. So my top 10 books of 2021 are, in 10th place, The House in the Cerulean Sea by TJ Klune. 9th place, you have Under the Whispering Door by TJ Klune. In 8th place, Sorrowland by Rivers Solomon. In 7th place, Horror Store by Grady Hendrix. In 6th place, Six of Crows by Leigh Bardugo. In 5th place, The 7.5 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle by Stuart Churton. In 4th place, A Dead Gin in Cairo by P. Jelly Clark. In 3rd place, Strange the Dreamer by Laini Taylor. In 2nd place, The Dragon Republic by R.F. Kuang. And in first place, The Poppy War by R.F. Kuang. Am I surprised about this top 10? Not that much, but I think it makes sense. I'm actually quite happy with this ranking. So yeah. And my bottom 10 would be not that worst to the worst books I read in 2021. We have The Lost Apothecary by Sarah Penner, Downworld by Rebecca Phelps, The Vines by Shelley Nolden, Tiny Pretty Things by Daniel Clayton and Sana Shara Portra, This Is How You Lose the Time War by Amal El-Motar and Max Gladwell, Home Before Dark by Riley Sager, Our Dark Duet by Victoria Schwab, This Savage Song by Victoria Schwab, 8 Perfect Hours by Leah Lewis, and the worst book I read in 2021 is The Elizas by Sarah Shepard. So that was my tier ranking video. I hope you enjoyed this. Let me know in the comments if you're interested in having more of videos like this one. Let me know in the comments if you agree with me or not. I would love to discuss with you more about these books. Like and subscribe if you want to. Hit the notification bell if you want to be notified every time I upload a new video. And I will see you soon in the next one. Bye!